Okay, so I've done a sort of map on this Coco Malou's head of how I'm going to do the hairline, or presumably. So, to explain this, because I may need it for future reference, there are a couple things that I'm probably going to even up a little bit. For instance, this here, I'm just dipping a wedge in water, plain water. So that's going to come away. And I want to even it up a little bit. So for instance, this bit comes in about the middle of her eye. So I want to do the same thing on this side, so I need to move that just here slightly. It doesn't have to be exactly symmetrical by any stretch of the imagination. Now, so all of this is going to be sort of lightly rooted. Okay. And then here in the middle, it's going to be a heavier little mop. And then we have our swirl. And basically, all I've done to create this swirl is start with a little hook. And made this line. And then from that, made these little branching things. And then I've put these arrows basically for your benefit, to show you that when you're rooting, let me find my rooting needle here. So when you're rooting, if the arrow is pointing towards the crown, you're holding your rooting needle like so, in the direction of the arrow. So as you can see in this point, it would be facing this way. As we turn, it's going to be facing the way we want it to come out. So when you root the hair, it's going to go in, and then it's going to lay whatever direction this is in. So I'll just get a bit of mohair here. There are a couple of different ways to root. So one method is to hold the hair between your fingers. And then grab one hair out of the bunch. Stick it in. And you'll see that one half of it broke off, and I was left with one hair in the hole. So I know that the part hanging on this side of my fingers is what's going to break off, and what's left is going to be on the other side. So if I want to have longer hair, I just offset it to one side or the other, and then carry on. You will get into a groove and stuff, and you'll find that the hairs. Now, I don't normally recommend you start in the middle like this. That was just to show you. I tend to start with the baby fine hairs at the front and work my way back and around. So I'm basically working like a cap from the brim up. And that is so that once you've rooted the hair, you can then lay it out of your way. So on the side here, I am going to be using the same mohair. It's going to be rooted a little bit more sparsely than the top mop. I usually do I usually do a few when I'm transpassing. So I usually root a few at a time. And then once you have them rooted, you can just dip your finger in water and just lay that right against the face. Okay. The good thing about the chalk is that it will disappear as it gets wet. Unfortunately, that means you sometimes have to redraw your map. Or if you just want to use it as a basic guide for starting off, take a photo and then kind of keep in mind what you're working for as you go. The hair I'm using right now is Susan Nagel mohair, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I love this mohair. It is the best mohair I've probably had, and it lays beautifully. Now you see I have all these little ends sticking up, so you can just pull those out and throw them away on the side. You have a little trash bucket or something. So if I find that I'm rooting sparsely, but I don't want to have too big a gap, so if I find that there are some, I try and fill them in as I go rather than at the end. You just want to be careful that you don't grab any of the old hairs with your needle as you're putting in the new.